Hi everyone. Right, okay, so random unboxing. Lazy as possible. You know, my feet are up in the air. You've seen the title. How did I get into wrestling? How did I get into wrestling? Like I've been watching wrestling pretty much all my life. I'm not a big sports fan. Shh. In your own time. You've just been fleed. So you ain't got fleas, have you? I'm filming. Look. You don't care, do you? Come on, just go down for a bit. That's good girl, good girl. Okay. Shh. Okay, so how did I get into wrestling? So, I've been watching wrestling pretty much all my life. I don't follow football, rugby, cricket, tennis, baseball, American football. I don't follow any kind of sports except for wrestling. And I think with me, like when I got introduced to wrestling, there was one particular event that really just captured me. And I think being an 80s kid, an 83 kid, if you're going to go at that point, I was lucky enough to go to America in 1991, and I think I've always got this nostalgia dog vibe. And nostalgia vibe of Americana right there and then for what my experience was in America and how everything was big and colourful and it was everything you would see on TV and just there's so much sugar and stuff, you were like that. But like wrestling, you know, I never seen a wrestling match, but I knew who Hulk Hogan was, and unfortunately Hulk Hogan passed away a couple of days ago. And I knew who the Ultimate Warrior was, I knew who Jake the Snake Roberts were, because they were infiltrating into pop culture over here. And, you know, the toys were coming out, and magazines, and people in school would know about wrestling. But wrestling was dominated by Sky. And it's only just been till this year, so Netflix took over. Sky in the UK has dominated wrestling. And like back then, to get stuff, you would get stuff in macro. There would be no consistencies of the old pay-per-views. You would get best ofs, collections, the greatest matches. It wasn't storytelling. It was, you know, wrestling. And the first WrestleMania I ever seen was WrestleMania 6. And that WrestleMania has so much nostalgia for me. I remember not long recently being absolutely shit-faced mortal down here and watching WrestleMania 6. Nostalgia written all over it, like off the top of my head, you know. Like I remember like when I first got introduced to my friend was putting it on and I was like, oh, it's the Ultimate Warrior fight. Yeah. Is Hulk Hogan fighting? Yeah. Who they're fighting? Each other. Like, what? But like, I just remember like the music, you know, like Toronto, Canada, the experience. I remember, is it the Barbarian's top rope clothesline to Tito Santana when he just bumps right at the back of his shoulder blades going, oh, what a move. The Bushwhackers are there. Obviously the rockers, you know, all the big and colourful, but the nostalgia, the music, the way it's presented, and like really, like now, you know, you're just scrolling through your phone and you look at all this and you can't, it's getting hard to tell what's real and not real. But like then it was just like how you make stuff like that actually work, and with the graphics and stuff, and especially with the alignment of the stars and all that, and then, you know, Vince McMahon and Gorilla Monsoon, Jesse the Ventura, you know, like, I mean, you would see him, then you would see him in Predator. And what have I bought now? Well, I couldn't find this for ages, so hopefully this is just, again, nostalgia. So I've just got right through it, packaging tape and bubble wrap. Now, Vinted is becoming a bit of a problem buying stuff. But Vinted just seems to be a fair thing. They're not the best at, like, when someone doesn't turn up and stuff, but anyway, this is an original sell-through. Obviously, a lot of the WrestleManias were just like this. The Ultimate Challenge. I love that artwork. Ultimate Warrior, the Intercontinental Champion with the yellow belt, and Hulk Hogan, obviously two now iconic legends now passed. As I said with the tape, obviously the rest you would get this as a kid and you would look for these. Personally, the Royal Rumble 1990 was so everywhere. That to me, if anyone's about my age or in that era, that was the one you would see everywhere. UK Rampage obviously was pushed very hard over here. WrestleMania 4 was a double box. But not a lot of people had these, you know what I mean? And someone hasn't even watched the main event. Haven't even rewound it. Naughty, naughty. Now it's a little bit weird and tear, but this one is just sheer nostalgia because recently on the channel I did an ECW VHS unboxing that hasn't been released yet, but that video, you know, was nostalgia of them VHS tapes. So this is Champion versus Champion. 3 hours of spectacular action, includes exclusive never before the scene behind the scene footage. So its runtime is 3 hours approximately. It's part of the video collection. We have Rhythm and Blues perform their hit single, which obviously Bushwhackers in play. Hard Foundation versus the Bolskovits. Coco Beware versus the model Rick Mortal, which I believe is the opening match in the Boston Crab. Tito Santana and the Barbarian. That's so low down because again these aren't really in a match card, but like it was so that. Dino Bravo versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan. You've got the Rockers for the Orient Express where they count out because he falls over the barricade. Jimmy Snuka versus Ravishing Rick Rude. Roddy Piper versus Bad News Brown. Now that obviously Roddy Piper's nostalgia, like obviously half white, half black promo ring attire. I believe that's now cut from the network or it's not on Netflix. So again, maybe it's probably, you've got the VHS. You can still watch it. I mean, it's not even rated. There's no age rating on here. Brutus the Barber Beefcake versus Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect, I'm playing the new wrestling game, and Mr. Perfect's Perfect Plex. He always used to lock and hold. For some reason on the game, he holds the leg that way, and I went, that's not the fucking Perfect Plex. And I'm about to throw my controller as well because I'm trying to play the stupid island thing. And I'm trying to fight the Wyatts, Dexter Loomis, Nikki Cross, 2-on-1 handicap match, and their energy goes back together. And I went, this is what doesn't make a game fun. Like rage. Why are you trying to get me to fucking rage? Like literally. Anyway, back to the waffle. Big Boss Man versus Akeem, who obviously they were a tag team back in the day. We've got Hercules versus Earthquake. Mixed tag team match, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, Sapphire versus Macho King, Randy Savage and Queen Cherry. $1 Million Belt, Jake the Snake Roberts versus Ted DiBiase. Colossal Connection versus Demolition, that's Andre the Giant and Haku. And the main event is Ultimate Warrior. And obviously, like WrestleMania 18 with The Rock and Hogan, obviously the same arena. So by the time I'd seen this and all the Attitude Era and everything had come around when they said they were doing that in Toronto, and the guys got half the signs still in the crowd years later, and that it was just class. And then you get to see he's got quite a foreign name, but there was a documentary on the network about him, the wrestling fan, not the green shirt guy, but the wrestling fan with the glasses on, his bald head. He lives in New York, he's at everywhere, and he'll be on that. But no, it's just like nostalgia of the wrestling, just got us hooked. But like, you would hunt for these tapes and it wouldn't. I think, like, you know, a lot of people talk about like the Monday Night War thing and all that. WCW didn't have any exposure here in the UK. Like, well later they start bringing out Best of Goldberg and stuff like that, late to the party. It's same with ECW, like, that's why like the battle, it was always in America. Like, over here in the UK, WWE, WF then, was the face. The Ultimate Warrior was like a larger in life character. Marketing thing, everything had a quirky, like Jake the Snake Roberts worked, but then, you know, Big Boss Man I think worked better when he was just in SWAT gear and stuff like that, you know what I mean? But as a wrestling fan, I used to watch it iconic. I used to watch it religiously when I worked in the nightclubs. I would tape it on Sky, get in, catch up with it. I mean, at the end of the day back then, if you didn't tape it, you couldn't see it. I was a victim of the Royal Rumble like everyone was in 2000s when the Channel 4 tried to really get on top of it and put adverts in, like, what you're doing. But it did block Mae Young's tits out, which was probably best for everyone. Anyway, F that rant. But again, just that era of wrestling. And I think we're wrestling now. I watched the documentary on Netflix yesterday. Literally watched it, binge watched it. The Unreal one, and just You know, I thought the ending on the Royal Rumble recap was absolutely brilliant. I loved how they pulled the curtain back. The curtain's pulled back, but then the curtain's still controlled, I would say. But it's an exciting time, but there's just so much wrestling out there, and AEW is just so ultra-violent, but it's not, just not exposure over here. I know someone's going to say, well, it's on the telly stuff, but again, it's the platforms now. It's platform wars and stuff like that. Netflix, I think the biggest thing with wrestling now, going away from WrestleMania 6 and all that nostalgia, the big four. I'm terrible. Sorry you just seen the Gremlins, but no. What was it? There's just too much wrestling to keep up with these days. Even though it's on Netflix. It's just, I haven't got 3 hours to watch wrestling during the week. And as soon as it's on, it's spoiled on social media. That's why. Like, SummerSlam's on the weekend. Like, get in, I can watch it on Saturday night because I'm off Sunday. No, it's on 2 nights. Why? The Big Four used to be the Big Four. Survivor Series should still be the Survivor Series. Make War Games a different pay-per-view. Classic Survivor Series, they were the ones. Like, one of the first Survivor Series where it was all the tag teams and stuff like that. That's what you want, man. Like, that's what you want. But yeah, just a random waffle on the channel about wrestling and obviously VHS. This has been love for WrestleMania 6. See you in the outtakes. I didn't realise how... Hello, welcome to the outtakes. Got food on my top, so I'm going to change my t-shirt. And hopefully this fits. Haven't worn this in a long time, but it seems fitting for the actual video I'm about to film once I sort the dogs out in the background and not film it here with this new light. I look glowing, but you know me, I can never stand in the same place at once. So yeah, get changed. Aha, fits once again. Yes. Yeah, thanks for watching. Goodbye for now.